The Jim and Terry Show coming to you from the Hobbit Hole Studio in downtown Bobcaygeon, or...
No, that's where we are.
We are?
Yeah, we're here. You've got a party going on. I can hear the people in the back.
Close that door then, Jim. I distracted you. All right. We are experimenting, as always, in the Jim and Terry Show, experimenting with things that we see in terms of news sources going around, newspapers, print media, social media. Twitter is something I've taken to for my own edification or enlightenment. But I found something missing yesterday that you found. What did you find that I neglected to see?
Well, it was the Russian Air Force, one of the pilots playing bumper cars with an American plane-sized drone, and actually ended up running into it. And
I missed that story. I don't know where I was or looking at other things, but you found it. So what's the detail?
it was all over the news, seriously, for 2 days now. And finally they released the video.
I'm in the Hobbit Hole.
Because the United States said, you did this. You dumped gas on our drone. By the way, in international waters, like international airspace.
So the Black Sea.
The Black Sea. There's a lot of countries. Russia thinks they own the Black Sea, but there's a lot of countries that border on the Black Sea, including Ukraine, by the way. So there's a lot of countries that have the Black Sea as one of their waterways. So the United States, as usual, was flying a drone in their own airspace, and out of the blue comes this Russian fighter who decided to start playing games with it, and twice it went by and dumped fuel on it. The second time it came by and dumped fuel on it, it also hit it, which is really stupid because the drone's a $25 million drone, but the pilot could have died. You know, the drone has no men in it. You know, it's just
unmanned.
Machine.
Yeah.
But the Russian pilot hit the drone and damaged its propeller, and they have this on video. It's not the United States saying one thing. I mean, Russia denied it, but the United States has this. Look at here it is, and that pilot, it's just incompetence. It's a form of recklessness that could throw the world into World War III, you know, just by doing stupid things like that. And this campaign against Ukraine by Russia has only shown the incompetence of the Russian armed forces. Their military are just, you know, they thought they were going to take the capital of Ukraine, Kiev, in 2 days, maybe 3. Well, they were in for a rude awakening there when the Ukrainian people fought back so hard. They also brought all that equipment in, and their supply chain was 125 miles away. So they're just going to run out of fuel. And now apparently there's all kinds of talk that they don't have enough armaments for their fighters, like bullets and junk like that and missiles. So now they're starting to send, of course, those hypersonic rockets. And they're frightening because we can't stop them.
They're frightening, but they're inaccurate, so that's a bonus in this kind of a war.
I guess, but if you're aiming for the United States with one of these suckers,
oh, it's going to hit the United States.
It's going to hit something.
It's going to hit something.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if your goal is mayhem and not precision military targeting, then I guess you use these kinds of weapons.
Yeah, and it's this immaturity. Like, who's flying a $300 million jet and playing chicken with a drone in the sky?
Do you think the pilot did this on his or her own?
Well, you almost hope so, but on the other hand, you're thinking, well, 2 things here. If it was orders from higher up, stupid orders, but then the pilot still screwed up by hitting it.
But
jeopardizing himself.
Maybe he was instructed to hit it, or is that just bumper cars, as you say?
No, that would have been stupid, because what if it had damaged something in the jet, and the jet go down, or God forbid, fire one of its rockets off and
accidentally
launch something? Yeah, so it's just incompetence to the highest level.
But you're saying now that you have the video of that encounter.
Yes.
And so you would not say it's just an encounter. Would you use the value-laden word? It was intentional escalation?
Well, yeah, you don't accidentally twice fly by something and dump your fuel on it. So, how, number one, what kind of thing is that?
Well, it's trying to maybe take it down.
Well, it came down, so they succeeded.
So the purpose of jet fuel, there must be a strategy. They must have said this is how you take down a drone.
Well, they also tried to blow it out of the air with the exhaust from the jet.
Oh, yeah, the jet
that
stream
kind of thing. Yeah,
from the
you
engine,
just fly
engine
in front
wash.
of it and just boot it, and
Yep.
try to get it to go that way. So it could have been from the higher ups, but then what kind of game is that chicken are you playing? Now, what you mentioned it earlier when we were just talking over breakfast. What's the retaliation? Because calm heads did prevail here. The United States said you did this. They said no, we didn't. Now they have proof. Look, you did it. So I would expect an apology coming from from Russia, saying you're right. It was our pilot acted on his own and he'll be disciplined.
That's what a mature country acting as a foreign state would do.
Yeah.
But after acting as an immature nation, as a foreign terrorist nation state, maybe you don't.
Well, I think now they acknowledge that the United States was flying in neutral territory, in international air. So I'm guessing now that there's proof that you took this thing down, they're going to say, oh, no, you were in our airspace and we took you down, because they can't find the drone.
Just that the UAV, the Russia can't find the drone. I hope the United States...
No, the United States don't think they're going to be able to retrieve it. They're going to look. They're going to try, but the Black Sea apparently is pretty deep.
Again, how much of this do we know
Yeah.
in the Hobbit hole?
Yeah, but they have the video of it, and you can see it, and you can see the propeller being bent after the plane went by and everything. Yeah, so because these drones, the propeller's at the back.
Yep.
So that was a
Pusher
very,
props.
very, very close flyby. Very, very close. And what would have happened? I guess what would have happened if one of the missiles on the plane hit it,
Or accidentally dislodged.
or dislodged and just went into another nation? So it's just reckless. And I hate to put up the warning thing, but we've never been closer to nuclear conflict.
Danger,
Never
Will
been.
Robinson, danger.
Yeah, because, Russia has stated right from day one that they're totally in their right to be able to use nuclear weaponry, because the United States, by the way, did, and they were first to it, and this is true. They did do that. But then we saw the mass destruction of these things and the permanent damage. You can't live there. Look at Chernobyl, just the accident of the power plant in Ukraine. I mean, jeepers, there's like 3-headed dogs and crap, it's just nuts what that stuff does. So it's a dangerous time we're living in, a very dangerous time.
Is it dangerous because Russia thought more highly of themselves than they ought to?
I think there's a lot to it. We talked about the generals in the Russian army are like celebrities. They have, and the one right now fighting part of it has his own army.
Right, the Wagner group.
Yeah, so they have their own armies. They have they're praised up, and a lot of them will then go and run to try to take the leadership of the country at their own peril at this particular
You mean
point.
displacing Putin?
Yeah, well, in a fair election, Terry. Yeah,
Of course.
So I think they've been lying all along about their capabilities. They may be taking some of the money that the state is giving them and taking some of that money and putting it into their private worlds.
Oh, you think? You mean those yachts?
Yeah. Well, I don't know of any generals
Properties
we have
in-
that have football field length yachts.
And
but
properties in London?
yeah. Penthouses in New York.
And maybe Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah. But the point being is just it's getting very, very dangerous. And as Putin gets backed up against the wall, he's going to have to do something. And he can send the biggest army he wants, but if they don't have anything to shoot or fire or launch, and we talked about it, now they've gone to these hypersonic missiles, and we can't stop them. The United States has admitted we can't stop
Yeah,
them.
we're talking about 81 or 90 missiles at a time being launched, and random targets, not just infrastructure, as in bridges or power plants, but random civilian targets.
They're
Just
part of-
terrorists.
Yeah, well, that's what the Russian powerhouse is. It is terrorists. That's how they fight. The American generals knew that. This is how they fight. They kick the spirit out of the people, and then the people bow down and they come in. They just made a mistake. The Ukrainian people just really are fighting back. And the sad thing is, Terry, even if Russia wins and they move in, they're going to be shot daily by just the people don't
Grandmas
want them
with
there.
pistols.
Yeah. So what a stupid thing to end up doing. And then now we're flinging the whole world into possible nuclear conflict. And we have China saber rattling and saying very harsh words against the United States. They want Taiwan. And they're not saying, well, we would like this. They say we're entitled to it. Taiwan's ours. We're going to take it. It's just a matter of when. And so there's all kinds of close flybys in the Taiwan
Strait.
Airspace.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you got North Korea shooting missiles 3,500 miles into the air, up in the air. And that's true, by the way. And then they just tested 2 short-range missiles, said they were cruise missiles. They're firing them all over the place. And then you got the Americans in South Korea doing their war games. Everybody's practicing these war games. Sounds like everybody's getting geared up for war.
They've been gearing up since the end of World War II so that it would literally be, the words of the Veterans Association, I think, is never again.
Yeah.
And so never again takes practice so that you don't have it ever again. But it also takes diplomacy. And some people, I've heard the criticism, and I personally don't agree, but the criticism is that Ukraine should be talking instead of shooting at this point. What do you think of that?
Well, I think the foreign minister of Ukraine said, yeah, here's the talking point. Get out of our country.
Yes. Yeah.
And I agree. Like it's just, you just can't be taking countries every time you want. And I'll remind our audiences who don't remember the history or don't want to learn it. This is what Russia does. This is what the Soviet Union does. NATO doesn't take over countries. People ask to join NATO.
NATO is a defensive alliance.
Yes.
Russia is an aggressor terrorist
An
state.
offensive brute.
Yes. There you go. The Jim and Terry Show. From, where were we broadcasting from?
We're here in the Hobbit Hole tonight. Today. It's not even night.
All right.
Jeepers.
Take care now. Bye-bye.